Alright, I normally don't like making lists, but this one just kind of was a just kind of a lightning storm of inspiration on the spur of things. So this is gonna be the top 5 pound for pound most annoying fan bases in boxing. Now, let me get started with number 5 is gonna be Arislandi Lara. Arislandi Lara. I mean, people they pretend like this guy is this amazing fighter, like this feared fighter that Golovkin's running from. First of all, Lara's team has never sent any offers to Golovkin whatsoever, at all. First of all, like they haven't sent any offer. Lara is like the guy that says, "Hold me back," while he's jumping at a dude, and his friends are holding like he's yelling, "Hold me back," because I'm gonna go do some shit, and he's already behind like his big ass friends that are gonna hold him back any fucking way. They're not gonna have him going over there. That's the dude that Lara is. He's talking all this big bad shit. But last I checked, when Demetrius Andrade straight up called him a bitch, he called you a bitch, Lara. That's what Andrade said. He said, "You, no disrespect, but y'all are bitches." Like he was talking to you and he was talking to the Charlos. He was saying that you fought like a bitch against Canelo, that you ran away and that's why you lost. And I mean, there's some merit to that because if you would have put a little bit more on the line, you probably would have put yourself in better position to winning that fight because there were certain things in there that you can do that Canelo can't. And if you would have gone for the gusto a bit more, sure, you would have been at more risk for being KO'd because some of those body shots were definitely hurting you, and you could see it in your face. It would have also put yourself in better position to actually win that fight instead of instead of not. That's really what you should have done. You should have fought and made the technical aspects of it more pronounced, as opposed to, backing down and trying to pot shot and actually giving up a lot of opportunities to counter when Canelo presented them to you. Alvarez was doing some good work in there, especially some good body work, and there was a lot of times you failed to counter it. Because you haven't really worked on your inside game enough, and that's something you need to tighten up. And so, but I mean, besides all that, I mean, people they act like he's chasing Golovkin down, that he's moved to 160 and he's knocking off all the guys that Golovkin fought faster than Golovkin or some shit like that. That's what you do if you really want to fight with somebody. You just start going in there and showing out on them, flashing on them. Showing that you're the better fighter, that you're taking out all the guys that they fought more easily with in a better degree. Kind of like that's what like Pacquiao did with Mayweather. Eventually he lost to Mayweather, sure, but I mean, still he was doing it. That was, that was a clever game plan. That's a clever game plan. A lot of fighters, a lot of promoters will wind up using for certain fighters when they want to build up a certain fight. They'll match him up against that other fighter's former opposition. That's what Bob Arum was trying to do with Orlando Salido. He had fought Gamboa, and then he matched him up against Wamba Lopez, tried to compare him, and it didn't work out so well. And he did that with Rogers Mtagwa also. Mtagwa gave Wamba a hell of a fight, and then he got fucking battered by Gamboa in just a few rounds. So I mean, that showed him exactly why he had been avoiding that Wamba versus Gamboa fight. But I'm getting off topic now. Lara ain't chasing no Golovkin, and he ain't chasing Andrade, who is really the guy that's been the number 2 fighter. I mean, Andrade at least beat Vanes Martirosyan. Lara didn't. Lara didn't rematch Carlos Molina, and K9 wound up beating the guy eventually. I mean, after he was deported and all that crazy shit. But, I mean, Lara, he's overrated, and his fans need to step off of that bullshit until he fights somebody like an Andrade and really legitimately proves some shit. And if he wants Golovkin, move up to 160 and start fighting guys like that. Fight Curtis Stevens, fuck it, man. If you're on PBC, fight Jacobs. Fucking fight Quillen. Shit. Fight one of those guys, man. Number 4 is going to be Saul Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is a good fighter. He's a skilled, technical fighter. He gave Mayweather a lot of problems, especially with his jab. He has a damn good jab. But the guy can't cut off the ring for shit, man. And people, they act like he's, he was being predicted and being presented as, the next great Mexican fighter. Basically, the guy that was going to carry the torch from the Morales and Barrera era on, on and on, basically. Like, he was like the next coming of Julio Cesar Chavez.
and everything. Like, he was going to be better than Morales and Barrera. He wasn't. He isn't, and he won't be. He's not as good. He's not even the best fighter in Mexico right now. The best fighter out of Mexico is Juan Francisco Estrada. Juan Manuel Marquez will tell you that all day long, all night long, and it's very easy to see. It's plain to see. If Canelo had Juan Francisco Estrada's skills, he would be unbeaten, and he'd be unbeatable. He'd be even against Golovkin. He would be Golovkin if he had Estrada's skills, because Estrada's just that damn good. He's a fucking amazing fighter. Canelo isn't that. He's not on that level, and I mean, his ability to cut off the ring is fucking awful. It's awful. You know, he can't do it. You know, that's supposed to be like the, you know, the quote-unquote Mexican-style specialty is being able to cut off the ring and fight on the inside like hell. You know, being able to hit and not get hit on the inside. You know, being able to tighten up and, you know, take counter opportunities and throw combinations and dig to the body and all that. And, I mean, Alvarez has the offensive arsenal to do that, but, you know, mainly at mid-range. He can shorten it up a little bit. He's got a pretty good inside game, but, I mean, it's not... It's still suboptimal. It's not as good as Francisco Vargas is. It's not as good as Oscar Valdez is. It's not as good as who's another guy? Salido. I mean, like there are several other fighters who are quote unquote Mexican style and are, you know, from Mexico that are simply, you know, better skilled fighters in certain aspects of the game than Canelo. And with Juan Francisco Estrada, it's all the way around. Everything he does is better than what Alvarez does. And he's not even a big puncher, but he's hurting guys and like battering guys and like hurting them bad. And that's just from sharp technique. You know, that's not even from being just a brute, you know, a thudding puncher. Alvarez, I mean, as soon as he gets finally shamed into actually fighting at middleweight at the full 160 and fighting somebody like Golovkin, I mean, it's going to be ugly. Just put it that way. It's going to be ugly for him. There's a reason why Lara has been doing the hold me back routine. And, I mean, Alvarez is essentially doing the same thing, albeit not as overtly. He's doing it a bit more covertly. But I think most people are pretty much aware of that as far as Alvarez goes. I mean, Alvarez... Yeah, his fanboys are annoying, man. This Amir Khan fight is basically Josecito Lopez Part 2, albeit with some more flash and special effects. And, I mean, he's going to world star Khan as soon as Khan's reflexes slow down even a split second. He's going down, and it's going to be ugly. I mean, against Cotto, he couldn't even finish Cotto as fast as Pacquiao did. I mean, he didn't finish him at all, first of all. And, I mean, like Mayweather and Pacquiao looked better against Cotto than Alvarez did. And that's just a simple fact. I mean, basically, with Alvarez and Cotto is, Alvarez wasn't as good a boxer as Cotto, and Cotto wasn't as strong a fighter as Alvarez. That's basically why that fight was an anticlimax the way it was. And, I mean, it's kind of the way that Lara was an anticlimax, too, really. Lara's inside game Lara's inside game and Alvarez's outside, well, Lara's inside game was trash, Alvarez's outside game was trash, so they basically trashed each other, and they made it a trashy fight. I mean, that's basically the fight in summation. Number 3 is going to be Alexander Povetkin, or as I like to call him, Alexander Povetkin. This guy, never in the history of sport, has the number 1 contender, the mandatory, been ducking the champion. Usually it's the champion saying like, oh shit, that's the number 1 contender, I don't want to fight him. It's Michael Spink saying like, fuck Tyson, I ain't fighting that motherfucker. Like, you know, it's shit like that. Where the top challenger is being ducked by the champion. No, not with this, though. Povetkin won his mandatory status against Eddie Chambers in 2008. He didn't fight Vladimir Klitschko until 2013. That's 5 years. He was waiting for Klitschko to get old, first of all. That's basically what he was doing. You know, they were bullshitting, trying to, you know, people, they try to act like this shit didn't happen. You know, they act like, oh, like, Povetkin just rose out of nowhere, and then in a couple years, no, the motherfucker was an Olympic gold medalist in the 2004 Olympics. So he had been building up for a few years before that. Won his mandatory status against Chambers in a close-ass fight. I mean, he barely won that fight. Chambers was outboxing the shit out of him in the first half, and then he got tired, and Povetkin came on with volume. You know, so, yeah, he won fair and square, but, you know, it was a close-ass fight. And then after that, he proceeded to duck Klitschko for 5 fucking years. I mean, even Teddy Atlas, like, he had hired Teddy Atlas for what it was about, like, a year of that. And even Teddy Atlas was saying, like, this guy ain't ready. And then Teddy Atlas eventually left because he knew that he was never going to be ready. He knew that Povetkin was bullshitting around. And Atlas wanted the Klitschko fight because he wanted to get fucking paid for what he was doing. And Povetkin was, he was fighting all these other, he was fighting fucking Hasim Rahman reaching ass and shit like that. Teddy wasn't going to stick around for that, so he said, fuck it. I'm going to go back to, announcing fights. Fuck this, and this guy doesn't even want it. Now, Povetkin had less heart than fucking Michael Moore as far as Teddy Ellis was concerned. And then, people, they say, like, oh, Klitschko held him. Like, Klitschko holds everybody. Klitschko held the shit out of Sam Peter, and Sam Peter still dropped his ass 3 times. How do you explain that away? Klitschko clinches the shit out of everybody. Klitschko tried to clinch the shit out of Tyson Fury, and it didn't work. Klitschko tried to clinch the shit out of Brian Jennings, and Jennings did better than Povetkin, man. So, Povetkin is nobody to be ducked, first of all. Povetkin was supposed to fight Wilder last month, but he, had a quote-unquote injury, for whatever that's worth. Honestly, to me, if this fight doesn't come off, it's just as much to blame on Povetkin as it is Wilder. Because Povetkin likes to do some stupid bullshit. He was trying to make demands of Klitschko when they were actually negotiating their fight. Him and Klitschko, he was making fucking demands about who was going to do the drug test and all that shit. Like, motherfucker, you're the challenger. All right? Vladimir Klitschko is supposed to be the one that has, certain abilities to call certain shots. And you can at least negotiate it, and eventually they did, but Povetkin was being a fucking hard ass about the shit, because he wanted everything his way. Povetkin's a big fucking baby. If shit doesn't go his way, he starts bitching. And there's a lot of fans that are willing to put up with that shit, and it's fucking garbage. Fuck Povetkin, and fuck out of here with that, with all the bullshit excuses. Povetkin almost got knocked the fuck out by Marco Huck. This is a cruiserweight, and this is a legitimate cruiserweight. Marco Huck is the definition of a cruiserweight. Cruiserweights really shouldn't exist in the first place, but, if they do, Marco Huck is a fucking cruiserweight. He was being the dog shit of Povetkin and probably got fucking robbed in that fight. And, that's all there is to it with Povetkin, man. Povetkin is nobody to be ducked. Put him in there against Luis Ortiz, he's getting knocked the fuck out. Put him in there against Wilder, he's getting knocked the fuck out. Put him in there against Fury, he's getting knocked the fuck out. Fury's not even like a knockout puncher like that, but he's going to knock the fucking living shit out of Povetkin. Povetkin, his heart pumps Kool-Aid, first of all. And secondly, he's just not that good. He eats right hands like they're fucking McMuffins and shit. So, number 2 is going to be a little bit of an upset, because if you saw my last video, you know that I'm not too fond of Lomachenko fans, but Lomachenko's number 2. And that's because of who number 1 is. And I'm sure you probably already know who it is now. But Lomachenko, I pretty much went through it all in my Loma Fanboys or Pound for Pound number 1 bitch made video. It's just, I pretty much ran through it there. There's not much else you could say with regard to that. People want to rate, really all these guys, actually. A lot of these guys, people rank pound for pound top 10, none of them belong there. None of them. There are too many damn good fucking elite pound for pound fighters who are legitimately pound for pound level, and Lomachenko doesn't belong in the top 5 or really the top 10. I guess just off the top of my head, I probably couldn't. I don't think I would really tolerate somebody putting him top 10. But that's just me though. But definitely not top 5. He's not on Roman Gonzalez's level, not on Andre Ward's level, not on Bradley's level. Pacquiao. Shit. Rigo, Fury. Oh man, no. Pound for pound level fighters beat Salido. Lomachenko failed. Salido fouled Mikey Garcia, fouled Yuri Gamboa, fouled Juan Marquez. They all beat him. They're pound for pound level, or Gamboa was for a brief time, not now. Lomachenko ain't. So there it is. Amir Khan is the pound for pound number 1 most annoying fan base in the sport of boxing. People act like the Prescott knockout didn't happen. They act like Danny Garcia wasn't already landing on Khan in round 2. No, Khan was beating the dog shit out of Garcia, and Garcia landed a lucky punch. Kind of like Marquez Pacquiao 4. No. Garcia was timing Khan as early as the 2nd round. Finally, that timing was dead on in the 4th, and that's when he finally took his ass out. Khan is capable of being outboxed. Lamont Peterson, sure he was on pads, he was on TRT or whatever. But, I'm pretty sure he was on that shit from Lucas Matisse, and Matisse didn't need that excuse when he knocked the shit out of him. I'm pretty sure he was on it for Timothy Bradley, and Bradley didn't need that excuse when he beat the shit out of him. Victor Ortiz didn't need that excuse when they actually drew against each other. I mean, Ortiz, like that was a big, Ortiz blew that one. He really should have won that fight, and should have finished Peterson when he had him badly hurt. But that's another story. Khan doesn't get a fucking pass for that, man.